you will be a burden on your child who you saved for college, and now they're taking on debt because they got to take care of you because you didn't save for retirement. They've got to fund your life because you didn't fund your own life.
We getting money. When Jimmere sharing gems with her getting money. Getting a line, growing money and time. Getting money. It's your life, trying to give more life. Getting money.
What's going on, money getters? It is your girl Gwen Jimmere here with another episode of the Get Money Show, where I teach you how to build a 7-figure business and create a 7-figure net worth so that you can live the life that you want. Let's get right into this topic. Today, we're going to be talking about everything you should be doing every time you get paid. I'm going to tell you my tips for exactly what to do with your paycheck every single time you get paid. Let's get rolling. Before we get into it, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and that you hit the bell for notifications so that you never, ever miss a single episode of the Get Money Show. This will ensure that you and I stay connected and that you never miss any of these money creating and wealth generating tips. Before you learn what to do with your paycheck every time you get paid, you need to actually know what you're working with. So this is where a lot of advice like this falls short, because they always tell you what to do, but they don't give you the pre-work that's necessary in order to make sure that you're set up for success when you actually do get your paycheck. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is to assess all of your debt. And that means everything from the smallest, most seemingly insignificant amount of debt that you have to the biggest monstrosity, biggest thing that you're avoiding opening the mail for. You're going to assess all of this and you're going to put it into a spreadsheet. And for this, you have to be honest. You can't skip this step. And when I say everything goes on here, I mean everything from your Netflix subscription that's only $15 or $20 a month to your mortgage or your tax bill if you owe the IRS, whatever it is, every single thing goes on this spreadsheet. This is literally the only way for you to know exactly what you're spending. And to make it even easier, you can actually pull your last 3 months of bank statements or credit card statements. That way you're actually able to be truly honest with yourself. Because if you're just thinking to yourself like, oh, I spend on average about $85 on my light bill, and I probably spend $50 a week on gas or $75 a week on gas or what have you, you don't really know unless you look at that bank statement or that credit card statement. So pull the last 3 months of your statements for every single credit card that you have, every single bank account that you have. Look at the average of how much you're spending on variable expenses like gas for your car or your light bill or your gas bill. Obviously, you're going to know things that are more fixed like your mortgage or your rent. Those things don't generally change every single month. So you should be able to look at your bank statement for those and just simply see like, oh, okay, I pay $1,500 a month for rent, or I pay $2,000 a month for my mortgage or what have you. But things that kind of change every single month, like your electricity or gas for your car or groceries that you spend every single month, those are going to be variable. So you need to take the average. In order to take the average of something, you simply add up every single month for that expense and you divide it by the number of months. Let's say for your electricity, month number 1 was $75, month number 2 was $110, and month number 3 was $98. So in order to get the average of this, you will add up the $75, the $110, and the $98. You would get $283 total. You would then divide that by the number of months, which is 3, and that's going to give you the average, which is $94.33 that you have been spending on average in this example for your electricity. So you're going to do that across all your bills, grocery bills, gas bills, phone bills, mortgage and rent, eating out, hanging out with your friends, entertainment, shoes for your kids, your shopping habit, whatever it is, you're going to add up all of these. If it's a variable expense, again, you're going to take the average. If it's a fixed expense, meaning that the expense never changes every single month, you're just going to put that into your spreadsheet. Don't forget that I've made all this super easy for you. All you have to do is download my free budget worksheet, which you can again find in the show notes here, and I will send it to you for 100% free. Doesn't cost you a single dime. Once you've got that done, you're then going to categorize them by must-haves versus nice-to-haves. Now, let's be honest. Must-haves are things that you absolutely have to have in order to survive. You have to have a roof over your head. If you have a car, you have to pay that car note. Your electricity bill, your cell phone bill. These are things that you need to just basically survive, like bare minimum survive in life. So a nice-to-have is something that you don't need to have in order to survive, right? It's just something that makes your life more enjoyable and probably more comfortable. So for example, your Disney Plus subscription. If you have a clothing subscription where you get like a subscription box every month, that's a nice-to-have. Those are not things that you absolutely have have to have. Now, you may feel like you have to have it, but let's be honest, you ain't got to have that for real. Once you've done this categorization, now you can really look and see, okay, what do I need to cut here? Because if you're looking at your debt on one hand, and then you're also looking at your expenses, you're like, okay, I need to get rid of this debt as soon as possible. So what can I cut over here? Or what can I replace with other things that provide a comparable experience that costs less money? And let's be honest, are you really using all those streaming services? Like, how much TV can you really watch? At one point in my life, I had Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Max, Apple TV, and I don't even watch that much TV. Like, I literally have like 3 shows that I watch, and they're all either on Hulu or Netflix. So why do I have all these other services? Get rid of that. Now, if you're somebody who like, oh, I need Stars because I gotta watch my show that come on Stars, just get Stars, for example, when there's a new season, and then cancel it once you watched it. This way you get to reduce the cost of your monthly streaming service fees while also being able to see all the shows you already want to watch. What's the point in keeping a streaming service for months after you watch the show if you're not even watching that streaming service anymore? You're just wasting money. Another tip that most people don't think about, go to your cell phone. Look up all of the subscriptions that you have for apps. Do you have any that are paid? If so, are you actually using them? Most people have 2 to 3, maybe sometimes 4 or 5 paid apps that they don't even realize that they're still paying for, that they don't even use. So cancel those that you don't use anymore or that you're not planning to use anymore. I have to caveat this and let you know that I am not here to be the fun police. All we're doing right now is simply taking what it is that you're already overspending on and replacing it or eliminating it if you don't use it. If you do use the thing or service, we're going to do our best to replace it with something that is comparable that costs less. If it's something that you're definitely not using anyway, we getting rid of that. A good example of this for me is that I had a personal trainer that I was going to see 3 times a week. Well, it's kind of expensive to go see her 3 times a week. So I actually cut it down to 2, and she already utilizes an app that tells me the workouts to do. So on the 3rd day that I was meeting with her, I do those workouts on my own. I'm still getting the exact same level of service pretty much, except I'm only seeing her 2 days in person instead of 3. But I still get the same exact workouts that I would have gotten had I been seeing her those 3 days. If you have a car note, I need you to work on paying that off, because according to bankrate.com, the average used car note is over $500 a month, and the average new car note is over $700 a month. Do you really need a $700 a month car note? Seriously? You don't need that. So if we're talking about eliminating unnecessary expenses or replacing them with comparable services or things, but give us the same level of service but cost less, let's get rid of that car. Go and turn that car in or sell it, so that you don't have that average of $700 a month as a car note, or that average of $500 a month as a car note. So turn that boy in or sell it, get yourself another car that looks good and is reliable and costs you half the price. Nobody said you had to be riding around in a bucket. Nobody said you had to be driving down the street like Fred Flintstone, using his feet for momentum. Nobody said all that. You can get a nice looking car that costs a fraction of what you're currently paying in your car note. You don't need a Bentley. You don't need a Range Rover. You don't need a Benz. You don't need a Beamer. You don't need none of that. Why do you need that? So you can floss? So you can have the outward appearances of wealth without actually having wealth? You got a whole bunch of debt, but meanwhile, you over here paying this car note and all the other debt you got, but you look good while you're doing it. Come on now. You hustling backwards. Let's not do that. Get rid of the debt, get rid of that car, and replace it with a car that gets you from point A to point B, but looks really good. Okay, so now that we've removed all of the unnecessary expenses by either replacing them or eliminating them, we're now going to move on to the next step. And this is what you're going to do every time you get paid. We are going to pay down that debt. We are getting rid of it. It is hindering us. It is a monkey on our shoulders, a burden on our backs, and we don't want it no more. I don't care if it was good debt, quote unquote, or if it's bad debt or whatever kind of debt, good debt, bad debt, indifferent debt, don't matter. We're getting rid of it. So we're going to use the debt snowball for this. That means you're going to pay your smallest debt first. Now you've already categorized your debt in the spreadsheet that we already created in the pre-work. So you're going to look at that and you're going to order the debt from least amount of debt to the most amount of debt. We're not going to be worried about interest rates right now. I know there's a school of thought that says you should pay the highest interest rate first. However, study after study after study shows us and tells us humans need small wins in order to stay motivated to achieve bigger goals. So if you're focusing on your huge debt, let's say your biggest amount of debt for any one lender is, let's say $30,000. But on the other hand, you've got some debt that's like $200, another one that's $600, and another one that's like $1,000. If you spend all your time focusing on that big $30,000 debt because it may have the highest interest rate, you are going to be slugging through that. It's going to feel like you're never ever able to pay it off. So instead, if you start with paying off that $200 debt first and you get rid of that, you can get rid of that pretty easily, right? You're going to feel a win under your belt. You're going to feel excited like, oh, I did that. So instead of 4 debts that you owe. Now you only owe 3. Then you're going to move on to that $600 debt and you're going to knock that out. Once you're able to knock that out, because you're going to take the $200 that you were paying for the first debt and add it to the payment for the second debt. So now you're able to knock that out even faster. Once you're done with that, you're going to move on to that next debt, which is the $1,000 debt. And you're able to now take that $600 that you were paying plus the $200, which is $800. You're going to take that and knock that $1,000 off when you add another $200 to it. And now you've got that done. Now you have 3 quick wins under your belt instead of trudging through and slugging through that $30,000 debt that's seeming to take forever. So you're going to create a debt payoff plan to pay this off the exact same way that I said. So let's run it back real quick. You're going to use the debt snowball. In order to do this, you're going to take the smallest debt you have that's on your debt list in the spreadsheet that we already created. You're going to take that debt and you're going to focus on that smallest debt and you're going to pay that off. Whatever the amount is, you're going to pay that off as soon as possible. Once you're done paying off that smallest debt, you're then going to take the amount that you were paying on the smallest debt plus the minimum amount that you were paying on the next smallest debt. And now you're going to combine those two and add even more to it. And this is how we create a snowball effect. So you're able to keep the intensity and momentum up because you're taking these small amounts that you were paying, adding them to the other small amounts, and they're combining for bigger amounts that allows you to be able to pay off the debt faster. Eventually, you will get all of your debt paid off by doing this. But it requires discipline and it requires consistency. The other important thing you should do when you're focusing on the debt pay down is to take the money that you were spending for all those unnecessary expenses, all those expenses that we already cut, the things that we eliminated, the things that we replaced, that amount of money, we're going to take that and we're going to add that to the debt also. So now you've got the minimum payment plus the higher amount that you're adding to it, plus all that extra money that you were spending on stuff that you don't even really use. We're going to add all of that to the debt. And now you're able to pay the debt off exponentially faster. And once your debt is gone, now you have the ability to put your bills on auto pay. And this just helps you to not have to even think about it anymore. And it actually also helps you from getting back into debt because all of your bills will always be paid on time. You don't have to worry about overdrafting because you don't have any debt anymore. You've eliminated all the unnecessary expenses. So now you've got excess money in the bank, your bills are on auto pay, and now you are living the soft life. So the main thing you're going to focus on when you get your paycheck, again, is to pay down your debt. That is your number one goal, because once you get rid of the debt, you have so much more freedom. I cannot tell you how freeing it is to not have that debt holding you down. Like a bad relationship. Like, it just holds you back. It doesn't allow you to do anything. It doesn't allow you to be free. It's controlling. It's just like, that's not what we want. All right. So you've gotten rid of the debt. Now, the next thing that you're going to do with your check is you're going to pay yourself first. This is actually what rich people do. You're going to focus on building yourself an emergency savings fund first. At minimum, I want you to save 10% of your check. So if your check is $2,000, you're going to save $200. If your check is $5,000, you're going to save $500. If your check is $3,000, you're going to save $300. If your check is $10,000, you're going to save $1,000. Okay. So 10% of your check is going to go towards your savings. Now, here's the thing. Most people think that they can't save because they have so many bills due, but not you, because what did you do? You did the pre-work. You created a spreadsheet. You eliminated all of the unnecessary debt. You replaced expenses with other things that are comparable. So you still have the same level of service and enjoyment, just with a cheaper price, and you got rid of your debt. So now you don't have anything holding you back that's keeping you from being able to save in this emergency savings fund. Our goal is to save 6 months of living expenses. Some people will say that you should save 3 to 6 months. I don't recommend the 3 months. I recommend 6 months because 3 months is just too close for comfort. Like, if you were to have a catastrophic financial event happen in your life and you had to survive, 3 months of that it's just too close. It just feels like you could run out of that very, very quickly. Whereas if you have 6 months of money saved up for all of your expenses, now you can breathe a little bit easier. So shoot for the 6 months. I say get rid of the thought that you need to save 3 months. Work on saving 6 months. Now, you've already created your budget. Based upon the pre-work, you should already know how much it costs for you to live because you've already done that work. So you can look at that and eyeball that, multiply that number by 6, and you'll be able to see how much you need to have 6 months of savings. And emergency savings is so important. We never know what curveballs life is going to throw us. We don't know if we're going to lose our jobs. We don't know if our businesses are going to fail. We don't know if there's some big medical expense that's just going to come in and completely uproot our lives. So it's important that you're able to continue to live. You're still able to continue to afford your rent and your mortgage. We don't know what's going to happen. And so having an emergency savings fund is so key. Do you know over 56% of people do not have $1,000 in their savings account? That means that should some catastrophic financial event occur, they don't know what's going to happen to them. They might end up being homeless. They could be out on the street. We don't want that for you. Okay. You are going to have your emergency savings set up so you don't have to worry about any of this. Okay. So now that the debt is gone, we're going to build that emergency savings account. You're saving 10% of your check and you're putting that into your emergency savings up until 6 months. So based upon your spreadsheet that you've already created in the pre-work, if it costs you $10,000 a month to live, you're going to need to save $60,000. If it costs you $5,000 to live, you're going to need to save a total of $30,000. If it costs you $3,000 a month to live, you're going to need to save $18,000. And you may say, oh, but hold on, Gwen, that seems like a lot of money that I got to save. But remember, you've already eliminated all the unnecessary expenses. You don't have any debt. All the money that you were spending in debt can now go to this emergency savings. You should be able to build this emergency savings up pretty quickly considering you don't have any other debt. Did you know that the average American is paying over $1,500 a month in just credit card bills every single month? If you have no debt, guess what? You can take that $1,500 a month and you can put that into your emergency savings and you can build that boy up real fast. Now, if you've gotten to the point where your emergency savings is already fully funded for 6 months, now we're going to move into saving for retirement. That means your Roth IRA, your 401k, your SEP IRA, any one of these or a mixture of some of these. At minimum, you need to have a Roth IRA. As of the time I'm making this video, you can save up to $7,000 a year into your Roth IRA if you're under the age of 50. If you're 50 years or older, you can save up to $8,000 per year in your Roth IRA. So if you're under the age of 50 and you're saving the $7,000 a year, that means that on average, you'd be paying $583 a month, essentially to yourself to save for your retirement. And you are fully able now to max out your Roth IRA because you know why? Because you ain't got no debt. If the average American is spending over $1,500 a month on credit card bills and you don't have any of that, you've got plenty of money to be able to now fund your retirement. You see how this works? It's not hard to invest. It's all about the choices that we make. And you're making the choice to use your paycheck to get out of debt and to save for your retirement. After you saved 6 months of emergency savings and after you started maxing out your Roth IRA, the last thing you're going to do if you have a child or a grandchild is you're going to save for their college. You're going to open up a college savings fund and you're going to put as much money as you can into your child's college savings fund. And the reason you're going to do this last is because nobody is coming to save you for retirement. For college, there are scholarships, there's grants, there's even loans for college, which I don't recommend. But if you got to take out a loan, you got to take out a loan. I get it, right? But there's scholarships. There's money available basically for college. There's no money available for you for retirement. If you mess this up, you just SOL. You just out here like stuck. So you have to put your oxygen mask on first in this case. You've got to save for your retirement because if you don't, you will be a burden on your child who you saved for college. And now they're taking on debt because they got to take care of you because you didn't save for retirement. They've got to fund your life because you didn't fund your own life. They got to take care of you because you didn't pay your debt down first. We all want our children to thrive. We all want our children to do exceptionally well in life, financially especially. So how would you feel if you spent all this money saving for their college, so now they don't have much college debt, but all the money that they make in their new cushy job has to go to you and your long-term care and your comfort and paying your mortgage and paying all the things that you can no longer afford because you're not working in retirement usually and you don't have the money coming in order to be able to afford it. Don't do that to yourself and don't do that to your child. Now, if you don't have any children or grandchildren, this doesn't apply. But if you do, make sure that you save for your retirement first and then you pay for their college. Thank you for watching today. I can't wait to catch up with you for our next episode. As always, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time. Peace.